Okay, I wanted to do a little bit of talk through some of the points I made this week during class, but I wanted to have a video recording to assist people who weren't there or sometimes hear things and then forget them. So again, the milestone two in my class, two submission opportunities. The first one is a soft deadline, second one's a hard deadline. The first step is going to be our real heavy duty interpretation of statistics. So we practice this in module 7, only looking at temperature. Now you're going to fill that out with some more pieces of information. I'm going to bring over the sheet that I started here, comparing Little Rock and Minneapolis, and I'm comparing precipitation, cloud cover, and temperature. Some of these columns are a little bit tight. I'm going to go ahead and make them a little bit bigger. So I highlight the whole column, and then I put my cursor in between the letters here. See how it changes from a down arrow into a little spreader. I've already done the copying and pasting from the city's weather data, but remember that trick with the I was talking about shift control down will go from the top of the data column to the bottom, and then I can copy control C and paste control V. Those are useful shortcuts. If you left aspect 1, aspect 2, aspect 3 on top here, that's fine. It doesn't matter. You do want to change the labels in this sheet. There's a lot of places where it says city 1, city 2. Don't leave it as city 1, city 2. Put your city names in here. And as you move over here, these are pretty standard choices. I would expect most people to do mean and median, range and standard deviation. And notice that I've filled these out with the relevant aspects that I'm interested in. I care about precipitation, which is how much does it rain or snow. I care about cloud cover because I want sunshine, and I care about temperature because I want it to be kind of warm. And I may be looking at the wrong cities for that. I don't know. Let's find out. So I'm not going to go through how to find the mean median. One formula works fine. Range, remember, you've got to use max and min. You can do that in one cell. You could probably do some autofilling here. Like if I do my mean calculation on the precipitation for Little Rock, I'm going to use my shift control down trick here. Then I should be able to autofill to the right because cloud cover is next to it and temp is next to it. So you can use some autofilling here. Do round. There's no point in having 400 decimal places flying around. You're not going to be able to autofill down because Little Rock and Minneapolis are in different places on the sheet. What else do I want to say? Remember the standard deviation. You got to think about, are we talking about a sample of the population? I think that it's important to consider that we're trying to talk about the weather in these cities across the existence of time in the city. That means that if I wanted to do the population, I would need every single day that the city has existed. All I've given you is 1 year's worth of data. So that should help you decide between sample and population. Once you get all these numbers, then it's time to write the paragraph. And there's some good questions about my expectations around this paragraph. First of all, I would say 4 to 5 sentences. I would say bring in at least one conclusion from measure of center. By the way, the fact that this isn't wrapping is related to this button up here. So if you click on the box and then you click this little wrap text button, it'll come around. So 4 to 5 sentences, one conclusion from measures of center, one from measures of spread. This is a minimal, like you have kind of accomplished the basic task here if you've done this. And we worked hard on interpretations. This tends to be a place where people really struggle. You did do essentially 6 different things because you have measures of center for precipitation, cloud cover, and temperature, and then you have measures of spread for precipitation, cloud cover, and temperature for both cities. So you do have a lot to talk about, but don't feel like you have to go through and talk about every single thing. You want to try to be sort of natural here in terms of well, I'm looking at the data and I feel like Little Rock is going to be a better city for me. Here's why. Number one, I really like blah, 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 blah. So I'm trying to explain, this is academic, but it's also, I want to try to make it relatable so other people could understand what I'm saying. Remember that measures of spread talk about variation, and another way to talk about variation is to flip it on its head and say consistency. If you want consistency, if it's important to you, then you would be looking for a low standard deviation. And if you want variation, then you're looking for a high standard deviation. Same with range, because they both measure the same thing. So once I've made my decision, okay, I've decided Little Rock is the place for me. Then it's internet time. And I'm going over to Zillow and I'm going to go look up houses in Little Rock, Little River, Little Rock. There we go. And so here we are. Real estate and homes for sale. Here's a 699,000. Now, when I do this work, I need to open the link in a new tab or a new window. I need to grab this URL, copying it, Control C. I'm coming back to my second sheet here. And this is other data, so I can delete this, but it's just showing you what is expected. So don't leave it there because you're probably doing a different city. So you see how I double clicked into the cell in link and then pasted it, and it became a link. You should see underlined blue. You should be able to click on it and it'll go back to this link. And you don't need to do that for all 30 of these houses, but you just want to make sure you do this because you're going to be really sad if I come back and I'm saying, well, your hyperlinks aren't good. It's going to take a lot of work to go back and recreate it. It's much easier to do it one time as you're going through. This house is 699,000 and it's 4,924 square feet. 699,000. And I already forgot the square footage, 4,924. 4,924. Done. One house. Next house. Go back to, well, Cherry Creek I can get rid of, and I go back to Zillow and I'm clicking on the next house. This time I'm going to do new tab, not new window. There we go. And I've got 695,000. 695,000. My square footage is 2,320. I'm not looking at these houses. I mean, if you want to get lost in the fun of looking at homes, you can, but you got work to do. And I would just sort of start cranking through here. You're totally fine to just grab the first 30 houses that are on here. If it's add, then obviously that's not a house and don't click on it because they're trying to get you to click on it. So just look for ones that are, actual listings. I don't know if I'm going to see any here, but 1.95 million. Great. Huge bonus room. I think most of these are going to have the price and the square footage. It is possible that you could find things that's like a lot and then there's no square footage because there's no house. So just make sure it's a real house. I would imagine that the first 30, wherever you're looking, are going to be real houses. Okay. So then you're into mean, median, standard deviation, mode, range. You can do all that. We've talked about how to do it. You've practiced it. No interpretation on this page. Just collecting data, processing. Okay. Go back to the Word document here, kind of catch up. Remember, so this thing about the paragraph, I don't mind if you put it into the Word doc or just leave it in Excel, whichever one you want. In fact, I don't mind if you put it in the Word doc and don't put it in Excel. I'll see it either way. And okay, so the end of step 2 after you've done your calculations is the normal distribution. So this is one of your research questions. So what is a normal distribution? I'm going to go and ask Mr. Google, what is a normal distribution? What I don't want is for you to get this. Wikipedia, I saw this a lot last year. Probability theory and statistics, a normal distribution or Gaussian distribution. You don't know what a Gaussian distribution is, man. Come on, don't tell me all that. Here, Khan Academy is probably more to the point. And by the way, this would be a great place for ChatGPT, but because you can say things to ChatGPT like, dumb it down for me and make it make sense. Tell me what a normal distribution is. But at the end of the day, what I want is for you to, first of all, you're going to have to put a link in. So you're going to have to do some search and like find some resource. I can't use I guess you could use a YouTube video. Um, so I'm taking my link, I'm putting my link in, and I'm also answering the question. So in milestone 1, I saw some people think that the research question only needed a link, but you want to answer the question too. So there's a small writing component. But the point about this Gaussian distribution is don't use words, don't like literally copy and paste from a source and have no idea what they say, right? You should be talking about things like bell curve, symmetrical, the mean, median, and mode are all in the same place. So those kinds of things. All right. And so analyze your histograms. Oh, I must have skipped the histogram. Oh, here we go. Price and square footage. All right. So you're supposed to use self-created bins for one. Now we did this in module 7. We went through and we created a histogram by hand. It's not super complicated, but it's, it can be kind of intense. The self-created bins, the process could be the mathematical one that we did in module 7, but it could also be more general. Like, let's say I finish collecting my data and I see that my minimum for my total square feet is 2320 and my maximum is 4924. Well, I could say I'm going to go from 2000 to 5000 and I'm going to go in 500 square foot chunks. And I'm just going to count how many of each one are in. I mean, that's doing it by hand. And remember that there is also a way to highlight all the data and then insert histogram here. So I will post a separate link of like, remember how to do, or here's all the ways you can do histograms, because there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 ways you can build histograms by hand. When you're analyzing here, you're trying to link evidence. So you're practicing saying, this is what a normal distribution should be. I'm looking at my picture. It is normal because blah, 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 or it is not normal because blah, blah, blah. We talked a little bit about this paragraph. Here's another research question. Things that people mentioned, job opportunities, taxes, crime rates, house prices, whether family is around, family or friends live in that area. There's lots of reasons why you could decide, I want to pick up and go somewhere else. And you're welcome to say anything. This is a paragraph that you're writing from your heart about things that are important to you. 2 factors that are quantifiable. Quantifiable is just a fancy word, which means we can measure it and put a number onto it. So if I'm talking about, is it a cool town? I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know how you would quantify that. If you're saying do I have friends and family nearby? That's kind of a gray area because I could count how many friends and family are nearby, and that could be part of what my scale is. I need more than 3 or something. So that could be quantifiable, but also if the answer is just yes, no, that's not really quantifying. So just make sure that 2 of your factors are quantifiable. And then that's where this comes up for the factors that are quantifiable. So if I say, one of the things I care about is taxes and what my tax rates are, then that's what you're going to be researching. So you would say, okay, well, I'm going to go, I picked Little Rock, so I'm going to go look up tax rates in Little Rock. And, maybe we're talking about income tax or sales tax, or there's lots of different types of taxes. So that's part of what I would be finding. And again, remember when you're doing research, you want an actual site. So don't just copy this part. You would want to go to Avalara. I have no idea what Avalara is, but maybe they break down tax rates in different places. So then I can, I can copy this URL over into my answer. Copy, paste, enter. Remember, you can clean these links up if you want. You go edit hyperlink and you can say the text to display information about sales tax in Little Rock. And what that does is it cleans up the link so that all the crazy, HTTP stuff is behind the blue stuff. But be sure to answer the question, right? Always in the research questions, there's a link and then there's some answering about what you found. Then you're into the reflection and you're done. Most people find Milestone 2 easier than Milestone 1. We're collecting some data with the houses. We're doing a lot of processing of data, and we're interpreting, especially in that first part where you're picking which city you want to live in. Okay. Hope that was helpful for you. Let me know if you have questions. I offered people, the chance to message me or an email or text, like, here's a sample of my writing. Here's the question. What do you think? And give me some feedback. Happy to talk that way. Okay. Work hard. You got this.